I got radicalized into the far right on TikTok. Well, technically I didn't, but an account that I made did, and this is a graph of what that looked like.
This researcher created a TikTok to see whether or not there was immediate link between transphobia and extreme far-right content on TikTok.
So we wanted to examine whether or not transphobia is a gateway prejudice that leads to broader far-right radicalization. It's been pretty clear for a while now that the far right is transphobic, but we wanted to see whether being transphobic alone was enough to lead you to the far right.
Now this is really important because there's a broader discussion going on right now about Dave Chappelle and some transphobic jokes that he made during a comedy sketch. Now a lot of people are saying, oh, it's fine, it's no big deal because it was comedy, but this is what you need to understand. Not only are the jokes themselves transphobic, but by trying to rally support of other celebrities and crying about cancel culture, Dave Chappelle is unwittingly inviting people down a far-right rabbit hole. See, there are many ties between transphobia and other forms of bigotry. And when people are willing to engage with transphobic content, they will find very quickly that their news feeds end up being filled with extreme far-right content. Even after a short period of time, people can find themselves quickly descending into the fascist side of the internet.
Of the 360 total videos, 103 were homophobic or anti-trans, 42 were misogynistic, 29 contained racist narratives or white supremacist messaging, and 14 endorsed violence. Obviously, TikTok didn't just give us neo-Nazi content immediately. I actually didn't get my first Nazi symbol until video 141. But the more I interacted with transphobic content, the more I was fed not only more transphobic content, but also homophobia and misogyny and racism and anti-Semitism. So I didn't actually have to interact with racist content to be fed white supremacist content. I just had to engage with transphobic content.
So what people really need to understand and take away from this is the fact that this discussion about transphobic jokes goes a lot further than just transphobia. Now, to be clear, transphobia is a huge problem in the United States of America and around the world. Countless acts of violence are committed against trans individuals, and especially trans youth often find themselves homeless because of unaccepting parents. So we need to understand first and foremost that transphobia in and of itself is a giant problem. But broader to this discussion is the fact that if you're willing to engage with transphobic content or to promote transphobic content, you would be unwittingly inviting people down this rabbit hole. You'd be unwittingly sending people down a path that could very quickly lead to then consuming a lot of far-right content. Now, as much as we would like to believe that every person is perfectly capable of making rational decisions about how they view the world, ultimately we need to understand that humans are social creatures and are highly influenced by the communities they surround themselves with. And on the internet, that's highly determined by algorithms. So no matter what you think about yourself, you are not immune to propaganda.
So it appears that transphobia alone can radicalize a TikTok user. Around video 400, you'll notice an interesting spike in far-right figures, hate symbols, anti-Semitism, and calls to violence. That's when I reached fascist TikTok and set my phone on fire. 400 videos might sound like a lot, but if a user watches each video for an average of 20 seconds, they would end up watching 400 videos in just over 2 hours. So a user could feasibly download the app at breakfast and be fed overtly white supremacist neo-Nazi content before lunch.
This is also part of a broader discussion that's happening at the Capitol, where social media websites, especially like Facebook and Instagram, have been found to have serious negative effects on a lot of youths, especially when it comes to mental health and wellness. And that spending too much time on social media can be very harmful. And this can be made even worse by the fact that these algorithms tend to artificially prop up right-wing content. In fact, one analysis found that social media websites artificially inflate the popularity of right-wing content. That is, of course, except for one country. That one country being Germany, the country that banned outright fascist propaganda. I wonder if there's any connection between the mainstream right and literal fascists. I guess we'll never know. But this is something to be aware of, and outside of any government regulation to deal with the problem, we need to understand what we are seeing on our timelines. And we need to check up on what our friends are seeing on their timelines, or especially children. And if you have children and don't know what kind of content your kids are consuming, one thing that's very important to understand is there is a well-documented link between gaming YouTube and far-right YouTube. So make sure when your kids are watching Minecraft videos that they don't get far-right propaganda fed to them on their suggested videos feed. It's also important to remember that right-wingers intentionally exploit the drifting nature of these algorithms. Right-wingers know that transphobia is incredibly common, and so they will intentionally create content that's catered around telling you that you don't need to think about any internalized transphobia that you've learned. They create content that's specifically focused on telling you that all of that is fine, and then focuses on moving people further to the right. And you can say to yourself that, oh no, it's just this rational, reasonable, whatever. The truth is that you're just entering the door of part of a pipeline that was created to bring people to the right and to make it seem like this extreme right-wing ideas are neutral or rational. I mean, how many people have you bumped into that are proud of calling themselves centrists and yet do nothing but spew extreme right-wing propaganda? How many people do you see run around saying, oh, I'm not left, I'm not right, but somehow I just magically agree with all of the capitalism we have around here? This is Ben Carollo with Rebel Headquarters. You can catch my show Galaxy Brain on the Young Turks Twitch channel every Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. You can follow me on Twitter if you want to stay up to date with my content.